the white stripes are painted on the hood, so I could move on to painting the Apillars. Now on these minis they are mostly black, so I just took out some regular jet black, masked the entire body off in a similar fashion to the way that I did it for those stripes on the hood, and then carefully started painting them black. After applying 2 very thin coats, it was completely covered and I could immediately remove the masking tape, being careful not to touch the fresh paint too much. It is already touch dry, as that is the nature of this paint. It dries super quick, and to fully cure it needs a little bit more time, but you can easily just carefully touch it, and in this case just carefully remove the masking tape around it and move on to the next stage. While I was still painting with the black in the airbrush, I also decided to paint the roof in the same black color as the Apillars. Also did the spoiler, the side mirrors, some of the grills, and some other pieces for on the back of the car. After I gave the body some time to cure, I moved on to applying the decals. There's one on the front for the Mini Cooper logo, one on the back in the middle as well. Then there's also the John Cooper Works logo and the Mini Cooper S logo as well. After applying the decals, I went over them with a cotton swab to remove any of the moisture that was in them or underneath them, and also went over it with a hairdryer to make sure that they were absolutely dry. About an hour later, I started mixing my diamond clear coat and started preparing the body for the first application of this clear. Now the first step to this is to go over the entire body just by blowing over it with some air, not paint, not clear, just air, to remove any of the remaining loose dust. Now that the dust is all the way off of the body and there was nothing I could visually see left on there, I moved on to the first application of clear. Now since I painted on these stripes, this is a layer on top of the regular paint color on the body, and that should leave a proper edge. Also with the decals, it's also a layer on top of the normal paint, so it should be a bit raised above the area and higher than the rest of the paint, of course. So I firstly applied a small amount of clear on top to fill that edge and hopefully remove it as much as I can, so when or if I'm going to polish the paint, it makes it a lot easier to get it all nice and even. after I applied the first coat of clear to the body, I just set that aside to let it dry off for a bit and took out all the other pieces that also needed to be clear coated. So after applying the clear to the body and all the other parts and pieces, I top up the airbrush with some more clear so that it is ready to be set aside for about 5 minutes. Now the reason that I'm topping it up is that there is enough clear in there so that it won't dry out. It will not have any tip dry, it will not get stuck inside the airbrush, as there is enough in there to not have it dry by the air. So after about 5 minutes of letting those parts dry up, I moved on to applying the second coat. After applying this second coat, I was happy enough with the shine that it gave and set the body aside, moved on to all the other parts and pieces and applied a second coat to those as well, then let the body cure for at least 72 hours before moving on to the next step.